Good.
Are you just starting now?
I think it's about to do it. And I don't see where the chat is, though. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, where is the chat? Edit, transform, order, show recording, settings. Because I got to be able to see the, you know, tools too, right?
Yeah.
Video, yeah. Okay, audio, that looks good, I guess. Desktop audio is the default, okay. Okay, let's see, Windows, I tell you, there's a lot to it, you know?
Yes, it is.
Right.
I get frustrated trying to figure that stuff out.
Well, this one actually is free too, girl.
YouTube?
No, this thing is actually free, you know?
The YouTube channel?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, but the YouTube thing, it's OBS, okay? It's a thing that's free because I've kept trying to record live from just the video stanza of going live on YouTube. And it fought with me, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to see the chat. I don't know where the chat went. It's like, where did you hide to?
Can you find it?
I'm looking for it. Let's see. Let me go put this down. Go to, okay, there we go. Let's see, group, video capture, video source, text. Huh, there's text. I don't know if that's chat though, you know.
Right.
Okay, make source visible. No, that's not the same thing. I got rid of the text a minute ago because it was in my way, you know, me trying to, it wouldn't let me type in it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to advanced general recording, string to play, delay, recording, video, general. Oh man, this is something else, I tell you. I'm wondering if I could go to, let me get rid of that. Text GDI, you know.
Can you find it? Can you do it?
I am wondering where it's at, you know.
It's showing you're live now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. You're live now.
Oh, okay. Start recording. Oh, hello. Do you want me to just go ahead and hang up with this, or what?
Yeah, because you can hear me.
Yeah, okay. But that might be the only way you could ask me questions if there's... so... Alright, well, I'll go ahead and start the live. And I wish I could see everybody's... Okay, virtual camera, studio mode. Here we go. Maybe that would show right there. Oh, that studio mode's got me doubled. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm just learning this. Alright. Let's see. But you could hear me on the computer? Okay. Tonight I want to discuss the common reactions to trauma or stress that children have and teenagers have. Basically, we all have. But this is easier to spot once you do get a grasp of this common problem. I'm using this fair use, and you could go look at the blogs that theplaytherapist.com. You could go to her pages, and she has wells of information. Alright? There are many ways a child or teen may behave, which we know that. Not wanting to think about it. Oh, I tried to cover it up so many times. I didn't want to think about it. Well, I kind of blocked it out as well. It was too hard to live day by day with all was going on. It was hard to understand as a little child the pain. Like, why are you doing this to me? What did I do so wrong? As a child, we tend to blame ourselves. We actually start believing that we deserved it, or it wouldn't happen to us. Sometimes people ask about what happened or talk about it, and we don't want them to. It stirs up so many raw emotions, and a lot of times it's in our own homes where these people do these heinous acts. And I was asked a couple times, and I was in trouble. I got into serious kimchi for my relatives, my siblings, supposedly, according to a sibling, for telling. I was too afraid to tell. We were told not to tell. We were not, it's not just the fact about not telling or being told not to tell, being ordered not to tell, but it's a matter of your own safety as well. What's going to happen when your parents or the perpetrators go ahead and find out that you told? There's going to be a lot of scrutiny that you have to pay. The poor children, the poor victims who these things happen to. I was such in awe because I would blame myself. As a matter of fact, I got a sibling who blames me, and she happens to be a preacher. And she said, well, the things that happened to me is God's punishment for me being a bad girl. That wasn't my fault. Here I was, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. I was already conditioned by the time I was 2-year-old, so I already knew how I was not to cry. It was not okay. Children were to be seen, but not heard. I laugh about some things because when there's a lot of intermix of families, like we had, and what is at one time there were 9 of us kids, where there was a sibling that's 2 years older than I am, and my stepmom had a sibling that's 2 years older than me as well. So the age frame of my biological sibling, I'll say supposed biological sibling. And then there was a sibling that was a year older than me, and my stepmom also brought into the family when she married my dad a sibling that was a year older than me, which was right around that same age. Then, of course, the twins, me and my twin sister, there was a brother that was a couple years younger than me. Then there's a brother that was about 5 years younger than me. There was another brother who had passed away. But there were some siblings who were also half-siblings who came from Germany. They were my biological mothers, but not my biological fathers. But the funny thing about why I'm laughing is anytime the siblings, like my name is similar to my twins, I'm Darlene, and she's Marlene. So every time we heard Daddy Charles call out for one of us, we both ran. We wanted to make sure that that's who he meant. But boy, we would get in so much trouble when we both went, because he said, "You are not the one I called." And it's kind of weird because both of us would turn around to walk away, and he said, "Hey, but I'm talking to you." We both turned around, so we were so confused. And the same went with my siblings that was a year older than I, and the siblings that was 2 years older than I. So anytime, that was crazy. And I can remember Dad paying my half-brother off for this by doing a disciplinary action when he came, and he made him go ahead and get a dress on and wave to all the truckers going by on Beltline Road in Decatur, Alabama. If a trucker did not honk his horn, then my brother got a beating for every truck who did not blow the horn. So there he was on the side of the road wearing a dress. He ended up pulling the dress up, showing off his legs and stuff like that. Boy, did the truckers honk their horn then. That's not sick. Seeing a child doing that, and then truckers honking their horns, that shows the sadisticness of it. Another way that we tend to do, besides the avoidance, we do have trouble sleeping. It upsets us, and there are so many things that keeps trying to go through our mind as we sleep. We get too afraid to sleep because there's so many flashbacks or nightmares that we're having that's remind us of the devastation that had happened to us. And so it gets tough to go to sleep. Trouble remembering or recalling details of the stressful event, or even everyday events can happen following a trauma. This is common. It's occurrence, and sometimes it's the future. It can become easier or harder to remember. I had so much blocked that I dissociated, and until after I had a hysterectomy, and the doctor approached me after he did the surgery, until after that, that's when the memories started coming. When he had pulled up a chair beside me, I said, "Oh, were you abused as a kid?" "Yeah, I was abused." "Yeah, but it's past." How many of y'all have said that? "Yeah, but it's past." We get so scared. And he says there's so much scar damage that he had never seen anyone that messed up internally. And by God's grace and mercy, my kids were a miracle that I shouldn't even had kids. I said, well, whatever, Doc, don't say shouldn't because it happened. And I look at them as being a miracle. And he told me the kids were a miracle. I said, no doubt about that, because I got on my hands and knees and both times before I got pregnant, and I prayed to God about this. We also tend to have trouble concentrating or focusing on things. A lot of times the reason why we're having trouble focusing or concentrating, our attention keeps going back to that traumatic event. A teacher could come in a room and all of a sudden slap a ruler to a desk, and that's going to put us back to the mindset of the fear, the PTSD of a kid. Then we're afraid to speak. We go back to that frame. We do not feel safe enough. Sometimes, though, we spend so much time feeling nervous or thinking about what happened that it can really be hard to focus on schoolwork or hold conversations with people. That's true. And the thing about it is, what if you're abused at home and you are told you cannot talk to other people at school, and then your parents find out that you actually said hello to somebody, and then when you go back home, you're beat for that. Yeah, this next one, I'm sorry, a lot of people still, they get on to me today because I fall into this criteria so much. Even though I have healed a lot, there are still sometimes I fall back on waiting for something bad to happen. We may be constantly worried or fearful or of another stressful event occurring. You might be thinking about, hey, what's going to happen when I go home? I'm glad that I had some good teachers in schools that I really enjoyed being around. There's one school teacher that really affected my learning when she tested each of us individually. I wonder if any of y'all went through that too, where she put up a chair in front of your desk and you had to read directly to her. She timed out your pause in between commas, the punctuations, the grammar you used. Like if you have a exclamation, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied, exclamation point, are you going to go ahead and read it and say, why did that happen? Yeah, you got a comma. Excuse me. You got a question mark. Y'all, boy, please forgive me. I'm making so many errors and trying my thinking. I had a stressful day. I went to the doctor today, so please forgive me on that. You got a question mark and an exclamation point. How about when a parent says, go to bed? Okay, there's an exclamation point. Okay, another thing that we do, we get scared easily. We may become more jumpy than usual. When someone walks up behind you and says your name unexpectedly, or you didn't know that somebody was right there, you kind of fear, what's this person gonna do? Y'all, I gotta tell you this. This is so hilarious, but it did not feel hilarious at the time because it actually hurt. This was after my divorce, and my youngest son came to visit me. And I hid so that when he was going to come out of the bedroom, I scare him. So I go, boo, And next thing I know, his long leg, out of a reaction, just comes up, nails me right between my legs perfectly, and down I went. Okay, yes, it hurts women too when that kind of thing happens. But that's his self-defense. I scared him. I'll learn not to do that to him anymore. Sometimes people take it out and people wonder, like, why is these people so angry? You get irritable, anger, or an increase in meltdowns can be responses to trauma. After the event, some people feel like a volcano inside, ready to explode at any minute. Sometimes thinking about the event itself makes people angry, and other people just feel angry all the time. Well, when my anger, I would get angry when I go to bed because I started having a flashbacks, like I said, after that hysterectomy, and I started having volatile memories, and it was darkness, and it was so much evil, and I would hit the bed, and my therapist said, well, stab a newspaper or tear a newspaper apart. Well, it seemed like the more I tried to do something like that, the angrier I became. I didn't want to be one of these statistics that ended up taking somebody's life. I did not want that much anger or rage, and I did not know how to control that to make it where I did not feel that. That's when I knew I had to turn back to God and pray back to God. God helped me through it. And of course, we feel guilt or shame. Guilt about what happened or what the child did or did not do during the trauma can be a response to a stressful event. Shame may also be a response, and the child may not want to disclose details. I hope that's better. Or what happened. Sometimes, after a stressful event, a person might not want others to know about what happened or might want to keep it a secret. Sometimes we keep it as a secret too because we don't want to lose our friends. They might think we're crazy. A lot of the problem I had was thinking that every child was abused. I was led to believe this happened in all families. Other people feel really bad about what happened or what they did or didn't do during what happened. The people that did these things to me, they deny it. They totally deny it. And when I get done with this, I'll open up my book and I'll read you a little something that I had to say in my book about how the people, does who was responsible for remorse? Oh, but of course, no remorse. Okay, you start feeling bad about yourself. Trauma or severe stress can impact an individual's self-esteem. A child may feel as if no one likes him or her and may push people away or give up trying to make connections with people. This can lead into a feedback loop in which lack of connection feeds the nobody likes me thought. Sometimes a stressful event can leave us feeling bad about ourselves or as if nobody likes you. This makes it harder to be ourselves. So that means we detach from people as well when we feel the sadness. Sometimes following a trauma, a child may report an increase in somatic complaints such as the stomach or head hurting. A child that has witnessed domestic violence may hurt in the same part of their body as a person who was a victim of domestic violence. Stress can impact our bodies sometimes and make us feel more headaches or tummy aches than usual. Some people get sick more often or find themselves hurting more often. These kind of things where they did not ever have to pay. I want y'all to understand that these things that happened to us were done by adults that had control. And I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of people that said, but he's a Christian, he could do whatever he wants. He's a man of God. Well, the man of God had told me it's best to let my husband kill me. It's my only way to heaven. You call that a man of God? I don't. Calling it a man of God to let it happen where adults can touch kids, where law enforcement did not even protect me, and they did not protect a lot of people who needed their help. They helped cover up the problem. And a lot of people today tell us, oh, why don't you just get over it? Excuse me? That is something you don't get over. That is something that needs to be brought to the table. It is not anything that we just get over. Sometimes we feel out of control. I really admire a friend of mine, and out of respect and out of love, I'm not going to mention her name. But when you do lose somebody who has been abused and you wanted to help this person and he lost his life, or she lost her life. I also had an ex-boyfriend who committed suicide. And a lot of times I wonder what he had been through. Why did he want to do this other than the fact of what he had told me he was going to do before he did it. If you feel one or more of the symptoms above, you might feel like you're going crazy or losing control. It can help to talk to a counselor or therapist about some of the problems you are having. You are not going crazy. You are experiencing common reactions to stress or trauma. Okay. Now, there was this lady that goes and she comments, and she's even got other articles on how to play therapy with your kids, the play therapy toolkit that you have, that you take to a therapist. They also have links to other play therapists. Sometimes it is best to let somebody that you trust handle this. I would not let anybody who was into abusing kids or taking advantage of kids, because there's a lot of churches that offer counseling, and I do not think that needs done from people who's actually done these heinous actions. Well, I'll be back in a few minutes. I am going to get my book, and I will read to you one of the things that I want you to understand as well. And yes, I lowered my cam. I'm so embarrassed also of my teeth problem. Okay. So, I got a copy of my book here. And anybody that's got a copy of it, you can read it with me. Thank you so much, my friend, for writing me and telling me you could only see part of my face, but I was trying to cover up this part because a lot of people can be cruel. So I'm having to reach over here, turn on the light that's next to the couch where I can read. Okay. If you got a copy of my book, you could go to page 187 in it. I need to know if all is okay. Tired of this never-ending battle. Never knowing which direction. From here or there. Scattered like seeds in the wind. Shattered like a broken window pane. Never-ending, bleeding, turning, yearning. Always a response of no. Does who is responsible feel remorse? Oh, but of course, no remorse. I need to know they feel remorse. I need to know and feel understanding, sympathy, love, and acceptance. I need to know what's written around 1998. I was still married and having horrendous flashbacks. Before reading on, please take a moment to reread it, which we're going to go over this, and try to understand the emotional concepts and the lyrics. I need to know if all is okay. Tired of this never-ending battle. Years ago, when I wrote this, I did not feel all was okay, because I did not want to struggle to get better if the end of the tunnel was more darkness, more cruelty, more pain. Years ago when I wrote this, that's what happened. My ex-husband beat me. The church said it's best to let my husband kill me. That's my only way to heaven. The police said he could hit me all he liked, as long as he didn't kill me. Which later on, they told me when they came and saw the broken, I had bruises and broken bones and stuff. And I said, now he's threatening to kill me. They said, well, we ain't going to do nothing until we actually did it. So I felt like they're not going to protect me. I am happy now how I struggled and did not give up. By God's mercy and grace, I survived. But I forgot one thing. I did give up. But I'll get more into that sometime. I was suicidal. I would not advise anybody to do the things I did. Because I am so lucky that I survived this. Not lucky, blessed. Let me change that, blessed. It's so embarrassing. One time, I had one of them kind of knives that cut through anything, like tin cans. And I was sawing away at my hand, at my wrist right here. I just kept going and going. By God's grace and mercy, He wouldn't let nothing cut me. I tried a razor blade. Out of the razor, it would not cut me. But don't try this, you know. The only way I could say that this happened, that I'm still surviving, is by God's grace and mercy. And He needs me to speak out about these things that happened, because it happens too often. There were some good times, and there were some bad times. That is a part of life. It is well worth viewing it from the healthy, healing standpoint than through the dark shades I previously used. If someone thinks to tell someone who is going through similar to stop being so negative, don't say that. Just be there for the person. Let them express themselves. Do not question and tell them things you would have done if you did not live their life. It was not you who learned it was not okay to have your own thoughts and ideas. Some who are reading this understand what I'm saying. Some that's listening to this understand all too well what I'm saying also, because they endured it. It is hard hearing others say they would have done this or that. They have no clue. It does not help the person dealing with the memories of trauma. In fact, it is infuriating and belittling. It tells the survivor they could have done something differently when in fact they did the best they could during the trauma. Yet, they survived. That is the number one thing. They survived. The next concept is never knowing which direction from here or there. I never knew which direction to go for help. Only a few were skilled enough to truly help. The ones who were not skilled enough told me such atrocities as, "You were never sexually abused. You wanted your dad to have sex with you, but it never happened. You lied about the past," etc. Boy, all this ticked me off. I had blocked it for so many years. When it reared its ugly head, I was devastated, to say the least. I did not know how to deal with such traumatic sexual abuse, these memories of trauma. There was no way I was going to push the memories down and seal them, as well as lie to myself by denying it. It was unnerving when I realized the truth. Finding a therapist who listened and seemed to understand without judging is what I deem as skilled. A truly skilled therapist, thoughtful and compassionate. The next concept is scattered like seeds in the wind, shattered like a broken window pane. I had so many mixed emotions at the time from being abused in the past and dealing with the present abuse I endured. That is why I was incapable of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. The here and now was abuse as well. It was a hurricane of internal emotions. I felt, I can be loved. I am worthy of being loved. I can't be loved. I am not good enough to be loved. I am not worthy of love. All these feelings at the same time. What a conflict of emotions. It was all because I was not loved. My husband did not console me when I cried. Often the resounding words, "Shut up!" always told to shut up, even as a child. I knew children were to be seen and not heard. I felt it was never ending. But it does end. I do not feel the daily pain of abuse, whether it be past or present. Though I do feel the pain often. Sometimes it is like a slap in the face. The old conflicts with the new. I am elated that the pain has dissipated tremendously. I need to feel I was all alone. Excuse me, not I need, sorry. I misread that. I need better lighting. I used to feel I was all alone and no one cared. At times, I feel the loneliness, but now I conceive that others care. There are a lot of people who do not know me who care. It is human nature. Good people genuinely care. The next concept is Shattered like a broken window pane, never ending, bleeding, turning, yearning, always a responsive no. Does who is responsible feel remorse? Oh, but of course, no remorse. At the time I wrote the above poem, I felt like I wanted the abusers to feel remorse for the pain they inflicted upon me. In my healing, I accept the fact I do not need to feel their remorse. I feel bad the perpetrators, and I pray they get their hearts right with God. I left the bad, negative, abusive family and friends behind. What I would deem, I don't have this in the book, but toxic. I left the toxicity behind, and I try to do that. I acknowledge that abusers in general deny they ever did any heinous act towards the victim. They usually blame the victim, saying things such as, they're crazy, they like being hit, they make things up, they hurt me instead. If you try to get an apology, usually you will not acquire one. You may leave hurt and angry because they blame you instead of accepting your faults. Sorry. You may leave hurt and angry because they blame you instead of accepting their own faults. They do not want to accept their behaviors. They do not want to accept the fact of other people knowing. That's what the gist of it is. Other people finding out how horrible they treated someone and treated others. Pray for them. I had to stop blaming myself. Boy, that was so tough. I had accepted the blame for many years. I had always believed I deserved all the bad abuse that happened. I used to believe everyone was treated the way I was. I wonder why God would put all of us on this earth to just receive beatings, abuses, etc., but no love. I'm happy to know I was wrong. To know punishment is one thing, but cruelty and abuse are entirely different. Parents are to rear their children in the ways of the Lord. I learned things that happened to me was because of man's free will. The next concept is I need to know they feel remorse. I need to know and feel understanding, sympathy, love, and acceptance. From all of this, I now feel understanding and empathy instead of sympathy, love, and acceptance. I do not need sympathy anymore. I need understanding, just so others will help the abused and downtrodden, those very people dealing with memories of trauma. Learn to not judge by what you believe when you hear someone's story. Okay, and I got this other one part, and I remember somebody had told me that I need to be sure to put this in my story, a short little thing as well. And here's my book, y'all, if y'all are interested. Shattered Innocence. This is me when I was in the 6th grade in Florida. The teacher had told us all, the whole class, that we were going to take a picture. This was actually the class photo, which I cropped. The teacher told me that I didn't have to smile. I could just be however I felt. And I think this picture pretty well shows how I felt. Alright. So this is called Crazy. And when I wrote it, I wrote, am I crazy? Being a person with dissociative identity disorder does not make anyone with this disorder crazy. On the contrary, being crazy is a coping strategy to help me and others cope with all the traumatic circumstances people outside ourselves have caused to the outside world. Yes, we appear crazy. By the way, if anybody's reading along, it's on page 201. If it wasn't for this mechanism, we probably wouldn't have survived this long. People in today's world accept so much. Drugs, sexual promiscuity, abortion, etc. People are not educated enough to understand or even try to understand the phenomenon. They are frightened to be around any such person. One will believe we had leprosy or were contagious. People's refusals or denials of its existence sometimes send us back to a place when we were growing up. Back to people denying the abuse happened to us. back to the abusers denying they ever did the heinous actions, back to feeling ashamed, back to feeling unloved, back to feeling unaccepted, back to feeling abandoned. I had to realize the world does not revolve around the outside world's approval or disapproval. Although it is very helpful for a friend, family member, doctor, and therapist to believe us, we acknowledge that we feel pain, torment, frustrations, and denials. Katie, my therapist, who was skilled in dissociative identity disorder, DID, and multiple personality disorder, which that's what the old layman's term was, and now it is known as DID, dissociative identity disorder. She has told me innumerable times, if a person has cancer, wouldn't they require help? If a person has a broken leg, wouldn't they need the leg to be fixed? I bet Katie grew tired of our conversations. Yes, but it is the same as a cancer. They are both diseases people struggle with to get better. Yes, but I don't have anything broken. She goes, you are broken up into so many pieces in your mind because of the trauma you endured. Yes, but there's too much to deal with. I can't do it. I really believe that. You made it this far, kiddo. You made it through the bad stuff. You're a survivor. Yes, but it hurts to feel the pain. She said, I know it hurts. It gets better with time. After all, you did not get this way overnight. You told me the abuse was an everyday thing. Yes, it hurts, but you are dealing with it. Yes, but will it get better? Katie assured me, things get tough or rough at first because things start resurfacing. Then the memories get a little tougher. It is like taking steps. You start at the bottom. Your destination is the top of the stairs. It gets frightening to find out what was done to parts of you. Take one step at a time. Sometimes it gets scary and I would take a step backward. I used to get upset at myself whenever that happened. Now I realize if that is where I am, to accept it at the moment. Yet I had to ask her, yes, but will I be like everyone else in the world, just one person? Katie warmly replied, in some ways you'll be better because you will not have a closed mind. It will be your choice whether to integrate or not. You will learn strategies that will help the alters to come out when needed instead of being pushed out. Sometimes that is what happened to me. We, my personalities, sometimes got pushed out. When our body felt tense, no one wanted to face the problems, memories, or flashbacks. All tried to hide within to get to safety so one personality would get out. I wrote this for people to understand some things people with DID and MPD goes through. I want to help people who are genuinely interested in learning more about this phenomenon. It is definitely not for laughs. We need thoughtfulness, empathy, consideration, and compassion. We don't need harsh words because we have been through hurt enough. We are still trying to heal from the pain and memories as they come. Kindness and thoughtfulness goes a long way. And people that have dealt with this trauma also, they feel like an untouchable. The word untouchables should speak for itself. No, this isn't about autistic children. This is about anyone, either children or adults, who have been hurt so traumatically, which makes the victim not want to be touched. This is how a person truly feels, untouchable. When someone starts approaching, internally we think, don't come any closer, please. Go away. You're too close to me. I don't want to be touched. I used to freeze. I was wrenching and trembling at what I thought would happen if the person came any closer to me. Even though my body froze, the person would still approach and do whatever they wanted to. I thought freezing it would help me in several ways. My first thought was to freeze in hopes the person who was going to harm me would just go away. They could tell by my response I didn't want or get excited to be touched. To my dismay, the much unwanted touching continued. The last type of freezing soon came with the knowledge that I was too young to fight and I was trapped. The freezing soon took a life of its own. It helped so much not to feel what was happening to my body by the intruders. Years and years of torment. We couldn't remember being attacked until it happened again, and I froze, of course. In the past, I had a problem because of the extent of the abuse which was incurred upon me. To help cope, I had multiple personality disorder, which is now termed dissociative identity disorder. In the past, I felt I deserved what was happening to me. It took years of therapy to understand where the blame needed to lie. I had one altered personality who became strong enough to stop the freezing process. This internal person helped me to understand it and to see it from a different standpoint. It was complex because of the younger alters who were not allowed to even hold stuffed animals while they slept. I'm about done, y'all. They weren't allowed to keep their Christmas presents because of them being ashes the following day. Yes, the following day my daddy would throw the things onto a burn pile and burn our presents. They learned to not become attached to anyone or anything because it could and would be taken away. I allow myself to hold stuffed animals now, pillows, or other things which may comfort me. As an adult, I now choose when to discard such items. I choose. That's the point. I now choose. Since I've grown emotionally, I am now one united, whole, loving, and adequate person. I hope the above paragraphs will help give insight to how a person can feel like an untouchable. The untouchable were parts of me as well. So many people have been hurt beyond touching or hugging. Examples include rapes, assaults, and other abuses. It is hard to perceive how someone can generally care about these untouchables. This has been the case with me as well. I had to take steps. It isn't an easy task or something that can change at the drop of a hat. First, I had to make myself smile while trying to take generosity of thinking of it in a positive light. It became easier and easier. But there have to be boundaries. Certain people can't be trusted. We don't need to put ourselves in the same or similar situations. Safety is first and foremost. I still have a fear of being touched in some instances. I believe that when someone has been hurt that traumatically, the feeling never completely goes away. I may be wrong, but I have had some setbacks. I believe in time that the fears will diminish. Now as adults, we stand more of a chance of running, trying to flee an unwanted touch. We need to keep ourselves safe. We should try to have someone with us, especially at night time. Keep ways of alerting others. More people are prone to respond to the word fire if yelled instead of stop. Instead of yelling help, they advise you to yell fire because most people will run to that. There are even self-defense courses that may help. And I want to thank you all for listening and being a part of the show. May God bless each and every one of you. I love you, the people that are my friends and stuff. I'm sorry I could not get the chat up, but please write me, and I'll be glad to answer whatever. If you want to write in the comment section up underneath the video, and then I can respond back afterwards, that would be a big help. Or if you want to write me at Facebook. And a lot of y'all will go and look at my picture and see how my eyes are dilated. But y'all got to understand, that's from the traumatic brain injuries that I sustained. I had a doctor that validated that. When he did an eye exam and looked in there, he saw all the damage. And all he could keep asking me is, what happened to you? What happened to you? And that's sad to know. That whatever happened to me, there was no adult that protected me. They were the perpetrators. My siblings were the perpetrators. Especially when my daddy told them to keep me all over my body after he knocked me down to the floor. I didn't deserve that. But my sister had said that she's sorry about it. But she said, but you were slow. To me, that is not an apology. To me, she was looking for validation on a right to go ahead and say it was okay for her to keep me all over. And a lot of times, after all the kicking, and can you imagine one of the boys, they had to encircle me, and one of my brothers that was about 6, 7 years older than me, I guess. I can't remember exactly the age difference. He was the kicker for the high school football team. So you know dang well his kicks could hurt a little 10-year-old kid. And you know, it's not even my brother's fault. It's really not my siblings' fault. It's my parents' fault for instructing them to do this to me. But it's my sister's fault for not recognizing and saying she's sorry instead of making an excuse, but you were slow. My response back to that was, yes, I was slow. I walked on eggshells. I never knew when somebody was coming up behind me. I never knew. There were so many times I was just knocked out and I didn't know where the hit came from. I just ended up waking up in the bed with an aunt over there sponging me off with a wet wash rag. Then my aunt leaving. And of course, when I was unconscious, I had wet the bed because I was out. I mean, I was knocked out. There wasn't no sensations that I felt like I had to go to the bathroom or nothing. I was unconscious. And my stepmom would be so vile as to wrap the wet bed sheet around my neck and make me wear it all day. So excuse me the trauma, these excuses that these people go through. Lord, we got a lot of faith in you, and you have helped a lot of us through this. Had it not been for God stepping up to the plate and showing me grace and mercy. And one time I thought I want to tell y'all another something really funny, and y'all probably won't believe it. But I was in my bedroom as a teenager, and I was playing the Inspirations on a record player. Churning That City, the Fossil Longa song. It was double-sided, a big album, and I still got the album today. And I bought a CD with the same songs on it. So, this is Canaan Classics. I got it at YouTube. And this right here, this tape right here, this CD, this is the one that helped me survive. And I know my stepbrother kept barreling into my bedroom and was going to harm me. And I would just say that it was so filled with worshiping God. Next thing I seen was my brother going like this with his orange, like, help, help, I'm going back. So something was pushing him out of my bedroom. But I couldn't see what it was. But I was being protected from him harming me at the percent time. I want to thank you all again. I appreciate each and every one of you. And God bless.